You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, guys and gals, I don't know if this should necessarily surprise us. I saw that this was something that Jason Whitlock talked about on X, and I started digging into it myself after I saw that, and I was like, wow, I can't say this is just super surprising considering where Nike's brand has been over the last decade. Nike is one of the most woke entities on planet Earth, and I quit supporting Nike years ago for one reason and one reason only, and that is their relationship with China. And, of course, LeBron James and the National Basketball Association are all up in that. They don't care that there's sweatshops going on trying to make those articles of clothing. Nothing to see here. I mean, yeah, okay, those are slavers, but not the same kind of slaves, right? That's what I understand. Well, anyway, at the beginning of the year of the WNBA season, there was a big Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson kerfuffle on X when Caitlin Clark got a signature shoe from Nike. And people, the woke fan base of the WNBA, went nuts. And they got pissed off, and then all of a sudden Nike randomly announced, well, Asia Wilson's got a signature shoe coming, and we've been working on it for a year. 3 weeks after the backlash hit, they came out and tried to convince us that they had an Asia Wilson shoe that was coming down the pipeline anyway. I don't believe it for a second. I believe they caved to people like Jamel Hill, ignited a bunch of woke flames on Twitter, and people tried to tell us exactly how marketable Caitlin Clark and Asia Wilson were. And oh my goodness, Asia Wilson is just as marketable as Caitlin Clark, right? That's what we kept getting told. Well, I did a video yesterday and we talked about the ratings. Caitlin Clark drew 1.8 million viewers. Asia Wilson drew 461,000. Stop it. It's not even close. And that's a difference of basically 4 times the amount of viewership. And that was everybody's point that kept banging the drum saying Asia Wilson is not marketable or she would be a household name. I mean, look, national news media entities have not been covering Asia Wilson for years. They've been covering Caitlin Clark this year. You believe that. They've been taking the time. And then, of course, we saw what happened with Caitlin Clark's Wilson basketball deal. This was another one that set the wokes off. But Wilson's in Asia's last name. Nobody cares. Caitlin Clark's Wilson basketball sell out in less than 40 minutes. And so I started looking into what Jason Whitlock had said this morning about the fact that Ethan Strauss had wrote an article, and I had not seen it yet, so I went over to read it, that Nike and all it seems to be sidelining the biggest star in sports right now. And I don't want to hear Shohei Ohtani either. I don't want to hear that. All right? When the WNBA Caitlin Clark games are spanking the hell out of baseball games, I just don't want to hear it. All right? So nothing against baseball. There was a time I was a huge baseball fan, but I just don't watch it anymore. All right? There's nothing that has gripped me to bring me back to the sport. It's been a long-ass time since I watched basketball until this year. Okay, well, Nike has decided, for lack of a better way of putting it, to cut their own throat in the name of DEI. This shouldn't be surprising. Now, the surprising part about this is a lot of these companies have backed out of this. Some of them at record speed after their DEI initiatives came to focus, and there was a ton of backlash, and they backed out. Nevertheless, companies have course corrected. Nike has not. And I could not believe this when I read this, but I was like, wow, seriously, Nike is, great way of putting it, corporate malpractice. They're committing it right now. So let's get to this. Back when Nike stock was around its all-time high, I wrote a 5,000-word essay on the corporation's awkwardly angry play for female customers. At the time I wrote it, back in 2021, I couldn't foresee that the Mega Corp would sign history's biggest women's college basketball phenom in 2022. Well, yeah, I couldn't believe this when I got down to it, but they are literally scared of backlash from woke sports fans and media. I also couldn't foresee that this player would maintain that fame momentum through her interest into the WNBA, where she'd finish the WNBA first team as a rookie. And who could have predicted her games would average over 1 million viewers, contrasted against games where other players would register in the 300,000 range. Road arenas are packed wherever she goes. Crowds of girls are wearing her jersey in all these stadiums. There's a lot of dudes wearing them too. And these families that have all come together, they show up, they're all wearing Caitlin gear. Nike re-signed her through 8 years at a cheap rate. You tell me all that, and I assume Nike's doing fantastic in 2024 because it sounds like you're describing a billion-dollar athlete who suddenly appeals to previously unreached demos. I still can't believe what we're going to read here. The apparel behemoth has a majority male customer fan base and has long craved similar success with women. Fortunately, they signed the woman to build a brand around: Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Caitlin Clark. Instead, in the early Clark era, Nike stock has tanked over the span, and the CEO just got ousted. By the way, though Clark got famous in 2022, if you want to buy her shoe, you could be waiting until 2026 to 27. I just can't even believe that. That's ridiculous. This is completely insane corporate malpractice, and it's being received as all very normal in the press that covers such matters. I read the excuses about how much time and input is required to launch a shoe, as though LeBron James wasn't playing in his own sneakers in his very first WNBA game. So why did the overall business failure at the apparel giant happen? In my opinion, the refusal to make money off Clark is not incidental to continued issues within the massive company. Again, you have to wonder about the company in struggling straits. It seems to be almost apathetic about reaping box office gold. In the last couple of years, the corporation has done little to capitalize on the absolute unicorn, even though the NIL era blessed them with the opportunity to get started when she was breaking collegiate records as a household name. Here we go, folks. I was like, what? There was a Nike ad for Iowa Caitlin, though it wasn't exactly pushed on the public. There have been no Nike commercials for Caitlin Clark as a pro. Now Clark's Fever are in the WNBA playoffs, and she's wearing Kobe sneakers instead of her own signature brand. In summary, Nike lucked in the marketing chance of a generation, and they're using that to advertise an old product. Why is this happening this way? Based on conversations with people in the know, it indeed has something to do with the WNBA MVP and Nike athlete Asia Wilson. But beyond Wilson, it's about a culture at the company that is more concerned with quelling noise rather than making it, as Nike once used to. Wow. On House of Strauss, Nate Jones and I discussed this remarkable, quote, dog that isn't barking story of Nike ignoring Clark's rise. The conversation was anchored in recent news of the CEO's ouster, which happened because the corporation is struggling with multiple, mostly prosaic reasons. Some of those reasons are specific to drive factors like rejecting retailers, but it's difficult to ignore cultural components. I'd say it's especially difficult for me to avoid cultural components, considering that my inaugural essay on this site was specifically about Nike's anti-charismatic and bizarrely meandrist post-Me Too advertising campaign. So, for real, they signed her to a $28 million deal And it sounds like they have actually sidelined her for Asia Wilson because of Backlash. While Clark is getting her own shoe is an exciting moment for women's basketball, reporting on the deal has resulted in some backlash talking about that Asia Wilson thing. The problem is some fans with the deal is only WNBA players with a signature shoe are white. Some argue that Las Vegas Aces Asia Wilson, who is considered one of the best players in the league, should have gotten her own shoe before Clark, who hasn't played a WNBA game yet. So it sounds like that Nike has literally decided to sideline Caitlin Clark because of the backlash that came from all the woke WNBA fans that were watching before the other 1.6 million decided to show up, like me, who could care less about the league but want to watch Caitlin Clark and support the team. They have sidelined her in the name of DEI. Seriously. They are willing to monetarily cut their own throats, and a lot of companies are these days, by the way, because of DEI initiatives. They don't want blowback by putting a Caitlin Clark ad out there. And they're dragging their feet on her signature shoe because of Asia Wilson. Are you kidding me right now? It's unbelievable. We're watching the WNBA that has reaped media rights benefits already from Caitlin Clark's arrival, making a lot more money, or going to, right? And we're watching the ratings go up. We're watching the attendance go up. We're watching gate go up. Nike's got a major opportunity with a super duper star. And because of DEI initiatives and the backlash around the Asia Wilson thing, they don't want to take advantage of their cash cow sitting right in front of them. And the WNBA, well, they're letting players all over the league just beat the shit out of Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's wild, folks. Seriously, we're going to sideline her because we don't want blowback. Wow. That is absolutely absurd. Honestly. And you know what? I saw people pissing and moaning this week. Asia Wilson won the MVP again. I don't care. I could care less. And then there's those core fans that's been around watching all these activists play basketball. Well, you don't want to learn about No, I'll put my time and my effort and my money into whatever I feel like. It's part of being a free American. And by the way, people are calling for Caitlin Clark fans not to give their opinion on WNBA. I give my opinion on whatever I want. It's a free country. Free speech allows me to talk about whatever I want to put my time into. It's absurd. Gatekeeping a league that was failing. Okay. Die on that hill, why don't you? I don't know what to tell you. Wow. That's nuts. It really is. Well, another reason, I guess, not to support Nike. And now this is getting out. This is starting to make its way around. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.